Hello, I'm Aren Esser. In this video, I will tell you about the Eiffel Tower, which is the most visited place in the world. The Eiffel Tower is a wrought iron lattice tower on the Champ de Mars in Paris, France. It is named after the engineer Gustave Eiffel, whose company designed and built the tower. Locally nicknamed La Dame de Fer, French for Iron Lady, it was constructed from 1887 to 1889 as the centerpiece of the 1889 World's Fair and was initially criticized by some of France's leading artists and intellectuals for its design, but it has become a global cultural icon of France and one of the most recognizable structures in the world. The Eiffel Tower is the most visited monument with an entrance fee in the world. 6.91 million people ascended it in 2015. It was designated a monument historique in 1964, and was named part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1991. The tower is 330 meters, 1,083 feet tall, about the same height as an 81-story building, and the tallest structure in Paris. Its base is square, measuring 125 meters, 410 feet, on each side. During its construction, the Eiffel Tower surpassed the Washington Monument to become the tallest man-made structure in the world, a title it held for 41 years until the Chrysler Building in New York City was finished in 1930. It was the first structure in the world to surpass both the 200-meter and 300-meter mark in height. Due to the addition of a broadcasting aerial at the top of the tower in 1957, it is now taller than the Chrysler Building by 5.2 meters, 17 feet. Excluding transmitters, the Eiffel Tower is the second tallest freestanding structure in France after the Millau Viaduct. The tower has 3 levels for visitors, with restaurants on the first and second levels. The top level's upper platform is 276 meters, 906 feet, above the ground, the highest observation deck accessible to the public in the European Union. Tickets can be purchased to ascend by stairs or lift to the first and second levels. The climb from ground level to the first level is over 300 steps, as is the climb from the first level to the second, making the entire ascent a 600-step climb. Although there is a staircase to the top level, it is usually accessible only by lift. The design of the Eiffel Tower is attributed to Maurice Quechelin and Émile Nouguier, 2 senior engineers working for the company des Établissements Eiffel. It was envisioned after discussion about a suitable centerpiece for the proposed 1889 Exposition Universelle, a World's Fair to celebrate the centennial of the French Revolution. Eiffel openly acknowledged that inspiration for a tower came from the Latting Observatory built in New York City in 1853. In May 1884, working at home, Quechelin made a sketch of their idea, described by him as a great pylon, consisting of 4 lattice girders standing apart at the base and coming together at the top, joined together by metal trusses at regular intervals. Eiffel initially showed little enthusiasm, but he did approve further study, and the 2 engineers then asked Stephen Sauvestre, the head of the company's architectural department, to contribute to the design. Sauvestre added decorative arches to the base of the tower, a glass pavilion to the first level, and other embellishments. First drawing of the Eiffel Tower by Maurice Quechelin, including size comparison with other Parisian landmarks such as Notre Dame de Paris, the Statue of Liberty and the Vendôme column. The new version gained Eiffel's support. He bought the rights to the patent on the design which Quechelin, Nouguier, and Sauvestre had taken out, and the design was put on display at the Exhibition of Decorative Arts in the autumn of 1884 under the company name. On the 30th of March 1885, Eiffel presented his plans to the Société des Ingénieurs Civils. After discussing the technical problems and emphasizing the practical uses of the tower, he finished his talk by saying the tower would symbolize, not only the art of the modern engineer, but also the century of industry and science in which we are living, and for which the way was prepared by the great scientific movement of the 18th century and by the Revolution of 1789, to which this monument will be built as an expression of France's gratitude. Little progress was made until 1886, when Jules Grévy was re-elected as President of France and Edward Lacroix was appointed as Minister for Trade. A budget for the exposition was passed and, on the 1st of May, Lacroix announced an alteration to the terms of the open competition being held for a centerpiece to the exposition, which effectively made the selection of Eiffel's design a foregone conclusion, as entries had to include a study for a 300 meters, 980 feet, 4-sided metal tower on the Champ de Mars. A 300-meter tower was then considered a Herculean engineering effort. On the 12th of May, a commission was set up to examine Eiffel's scheme and its rivals, which, a month later, decided that all the proposals except Eiffel's were either impractical or lacking in details. After some debate about the exact location of the tower, A contract was signed on the 8th of January 1887. Eiffel signed it acting in his own capacity rather than as the representative of his company, the contract granting him 1.5 million francs toward the construction costs, less than a quarter of the estimated 6.5 million francs. Eiffel was to receive all income from the commercial exploitation of the tower during the exhibition and for the next 20 years. He later established a separate company to manage the tower, putting up half the necessary capital himself. The Crédit Industriel et Commercial, CIC, helped finance the construction of the Eiffel Tower. According to a New York Times investigation into France's colonial legacy in Haiti, at the time of the tower's construction, the bank was acquiring funds from predatory loans related to the Haiti indemnity controversy, a debt forced upon Haiti by France to pay for slaves lost following the Haitian Revolution, and transferring Haiti's wealth into France. The Times reported that the CIC benefited from a loan that required the Haitian government to pay the bank and its partner nearly half of all taxes the Haitian government collected on exports, writing that by effectively choking off the nation's primary source of income, the CIC left a crippling legacy of financial extraction and dashed hopes, even by the standards of a nation with a long history of both. Artists protest caricature of Gustave Eiffel comparing the Eiffel Tower to the pyramids, published in Le Temps, February 14, 1887. The proposed tower had been a subject of controversy, drawing criticism from those who did not believe it was feasible and those who objected on artistic grounds. Prior to the Eiffel Tower's construction, no structure had ever been constructed to a height of 300 meters, or even 200 meters for that matter, and many people believed it was impossible. These objections were an expression of a long-standing debate in France about the relationship between architecture and engineering. It came to a head as work began at the Champ de Mars. A committee of 301 members for each meter of the tower's height was formed, led by the prominent architect Charles Garnier and including some of the most important figures of the arts, such as William Adolphe Bouguereau, Guy de Maupassant, Charles Gounod and Jules Massenet. A petition called "Artists Against the Eiffel Tower" was sent to the Minister of Works and Commissioner for the Exposition, Adolphe Alphand, and it was published by Le Temps on the 14th of February 1887. Inauguration in the 1889 Exposition View of the 1889 World's Fair. The main structural work was completed at the end of March 1889 and, on the 31st of March, Eiffel celebrated by leading a group of government officials, accompanied by representatives of the press, to the top of the tower. Because the lifts were not yet in operation, the ascent was made by foot, and took over an hour, with Eiffel stopping frequently to explain various features. Most of the party chose to stop at the lower levels, but a few, including the structural engineer, Émile Nouguier, the head of construction, Jean Compagnon, the president of the city council, and reporters from Le Figaro and Le Monde Illustré, completed the ascent. At 2:35 p.m., Eiffel hoisted a large tricolor to the accompaniment of a 25-gun salute fired at the first level. There was still work to be done, particularly on the lifts and facilities, and the tower was not opened to the public until 9 days after the opening of the exposition on the 6th of May. Even then, the lifts had not been completed. The tower was an instant success with the public, and nearly 30,000 visitors made the 1,710-step climb to the top before the lifts entered service on the 26th of May. Tickets cost 2 francs for the first level, 3 for the second, and 5 for the top, with half-price admission on Sundays, and by the end of the exhibition there had been 1,896,987 visitors. After dark, the tower was lit by hundreds of gas lamps, and a beacon sent out 3 beams of red, white and blue light. 2 searchlights mounted on a circular rail were used to illuminate various buildings of the exposition. The daily opening and closing of the exposition were announced by a cannon at the top.